Think you're good at JavaScript? We've got 7 questions that would challenge your understanding of the language, starting from the easiest to the most difficult question 7. Try to answer this question without Googling or running any code. If you can answer all of them correctly without cheating, you're probably a pro. If not, I've included explanations and answers in the last part of the video so you can become one. Let's start with a classic, type conversion. What's the value of x? The answer is B, 11. Moving on to level 2. What's the output of this? The answer is B, false. Level 3, hoisting. In this code, we define 2 variables x, and we console log x before the second definition. What will be the output? The answer is C, undefined. Level 4, closures. We define a I variable using the let keyword, and inside of the for loop, we run a set timeout with 0 delay and console log the variable I afterward. What's the output of this code? The answer is C, 333. Level 5. Here we define an object and one of the property is a function. And we assign the function to a variable and then run it. What will be the output? The answer is B, undefined. Level 6. Which of the following about map and object is not true? The answer is D. And we arrive at the last level. This question is about event loop. In total, 6 console log, the console log on the top, second console log in the set timeout, 2 console log in the new promises, 1 console log in the second promise, and then the last console log. What's the output of this code? The answer is D. And now we'll start explaining the answers. Feel free to use chapter to skip to the question you got wrong. Starting with question 1, let's see why the value of x is 11. In JavaScript, the plus symbol is used to add 2 numbers and concatenate 2 strings. When you add a number to a string, JavaScript converts the number to a string and performs a concatenation. So 1 plus 2 gives us 12. On the flip side, the negative symbol is only used for subtracting numbers. So when we subtract 12 by 1, it converts the 12 back to a number, giving us 11. Question 2, let's see why the output is false instead of true. JavaScript evaluates this expression from left to right. First, it compares 3 larger than 2, which is true, so now we have this. When comparing a boolean with a number, JavaScript converts the boolean to a number. True becomes 1 and false becomes 0, so now we are actually evaluating this. And 1 is not greater than 1, so we get false. Now move on to question 3. Variable declarations are hoisted to the top of their scope in JavaScript, and this concept is called hoisting. However, only the declaration is hoisted, not the initialization. So what really happening inside the full function is this. The var keyword got hoisted, but the definition stay in the original position. It exists when the console log happens, but hasn't been assigned a value yet. Some of you might wonder why it didn't console log 10. This is because the var keyword has a function scope, so the x inside the function separates from the global x and overrides it. Question 4 is about closures, and the answer is C. The console.log I references a variable defined outside of its scope, which will form closures. All 3 set timeout callbacks share the same closures and reference the same I variable. The callbacks are scheduled to run after the loop finishes, even with a 0 millisecond delay. By the time the callbacks execute, the loop has already completed. When the callbacks run, they all reference the final value of I, which is 3. To get the expected 0, 1, 2 output, you could first use let inside of the loop to create a new binding for each iteration. Since the let keyword is block scoped, this will create 3 separate closures instead of 1. Or 2, you can use a IIFE to create a new scope for each iteration. Question 5. This code will output undefined, and here's why. When object.method is called directly, the this keyword refers to the object. However, we are assigning object.method to a variable fun. When we call fun is a standalone function call. In non-strict mode, standalone function calls set this to a global object. The global object doesn't have a prop property, so this subprop is undefined. However, in strict mode, this code will actually throw a type error not undefined, because in strict mode, standalone function calls set the this keyword to undefined, attempting to access a property on undefined results in a type error. But type error isn't an option here, so the answer is still B. To get the expected value output, there are 2 ways to do this. First is to use function.call or function.apply to explicitly set this, or you can use bind. Question 6 tests your knowledge in the map object in JavaScript. Map objects and regular objects are very similar but have some crucial differences. In this example, option A, B, C are all true, and D is false. In reality, regular objects can directly serialize to JSON, while map objects require manual conversion to be serialized. Question 7 requires your knowledge in how event loop works in JavaScript. I won't go into full detail to explain that, but I'll put a link in the description to a useful video. The event loop manages execution in JavaScript, handling both synchronous and asynchronous operation. It works like this. First, it executes synchronous code, so the 1, 3, 6 are logged immediately. Then it queues asynchronous operations. The promise callbacks go to a microtask queue, and the set timeout callbacks go to another queue called the macrotask queue. Once the callback is empty after executing all the synchronous code, it will process all the microtasks first, which are the promises, and it handles the microtask, which is the set timeout. So the output order is like this. And I'll wrap things up here. Let me know in the comments if you learned anything new from this video. See you next time.